Good evening. We would like to begin our meeting. If you'd all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, the Board of Education is recognizing several outstanding Parkway students. 2 students received a perfect score on the ACT and an all-state diving champion. In addition, we'll learn more about our partnership with Trane for the geothermal project at South High and the award Parkway recently received from the St. Louis Area Business Health Coalition. First, I would like to invite Dr. Kevin Beckner, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability, to recognize the 2 students with a perfect score on the ACT exam.
Good evening, President Todd, Vice President Hopper, members of the board, Dr. Marty, Mrs. Stover. Tonight we recognize 2 outstanding students who've earned quite an accomplishment. Nationally, while the actual number of students earning the top score varies from year to year, only around 0.2% of students who take the ACT ultimately earn the top score. In the U.S. high school graduating class of 2018, only 3,700 students out of more than 1.9 million graduates who took the ACT earned a top composite score of 36. The ACT is a curriculum-based achievement exam that measures what students have learned in school and consists of tests in English, mathematics, reading, and science, each scored on a scale of 1 to 36. A student's composite score is the average of the 4 tests. The score for ACT's optional writing test is reported separately and not included within the ACT composite score. Students who earn a 36 composite score have likely mastered all of the skills and knowledge they will need to succeed in first-year college coursework in the core subject areas. ACT scores are accepted by all major 4-year colleges and universities across the U.S. Caitlin Ying, a junior at South High, is undecided where she will attend university, but is considering Missouri S&T, University of Michigan, Northwestern University, and Cornell University. She hopes to study biotechnology, philosophy, and environmental engineering. Outside of the classroom, she likes to draw, paint, and run. In addition, she's involved in South High's debate team, so please join me in congratulating Caitlin Ying. Arij Rafiq, a junior at West High, is undecided about where she will attend university. She's considering studying medicine and scientific research and will most likely work in medicine and STEM-related fields, although she's still exploring her career options. Outside the classroom, she enjoys creating digital art, baking, martial arts, reading, and traveling. Please join me in congratulating Arij Rafiq.
Next, please welcome, I don't see her, Patrice H. She's here. Oh, there she is. From one side of the room to the other. Patrice H. Principal at South High.
Good evening, everyone. So it is with great awe and admiration that I recognize South High sophomore Braden Escher for his first place finish in the Class 1 State Diving Championship in November. Braden. Braden was undefeated in the season's dual meet and is the Cape Rock Diving Invitational Champion for a second time. In addition, he finished first at the Yellow Pool Conference meet, breaking his previous school record by scoring 516.45 points. South is fortunate to have Braden as a student athlete. Congratulations to you.
Next, please welcome Patty Bedborough, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. I would also like to bring up to the podium both Jennifer Geen and Tiffany Duncan from the Trane Company. Parkway would like to officially thank Trane for their partnership in working with the geothermal project at South High School. Trane has put together promotional materials, including a video, which we will show in a little bit, featuring Parkway and highlighting the geothermal project. The video will be used to engage students and used as well with the greater public. Parkway's partnership with Trane helps to continue the district's environmentally sustainable work, as well as creating cost savings for the district. Thank you, Tiffany and Jennifer. I'm going to let them talk for a little bit.
So we have what is apparently a surprise. So Tiffany Duncan, Comprehensive Solutions Team Leader. We've been working in partnership with Parkway for several years now on energy efficiency and sustainable measures within your district. It has been a fantastic ride, and I am excited tonight to present you with this award. And it states, in recognition of outstanding leadership in energy efficiency, sustainable building technologies, and commitment to high-performance learning environments. So thank you so much for everything.
And engaging in this wouldn't be possible without the work also of Eric Leaders, our Director of Sustainability and Purchasing for the district, and James Swingle is also here this evening from our Facilities Department. He's our Manager of Planning and Construction. Also, the work of Mike Mertens and Scott Bennett that are both retired members. All of them combined truly worked hard to plan out the projects that we have worked with so far with Trane. Thank you so much for the award.
One of the things that needs to be said about the partnership is the relationship that we've also had with our teaching staff and the students who are really experiencing some real life learning at the South High School. This process continues, and I think it'll can even continue more. And the Trane staff has been so wonderful in really making sure that this is more than just a quick in and out. They've been spending a lot of time, certainly with our administrators and our managers and our operations, but also with our teaching staff. So this is a wonderful partnership. We hope to continue working with Trane in so many different ways, and thank them again for this opportunity. And it is heavy, isn't it, Jeff? Thank you so much for the recognition. And are you going to introduce the video? Or?
Yes, we are going to. We also, being caught off guard a little bit by the surprise of the plaque and everything, we do have a video that we want to show that was collaboratively put together, not only with teaching staff, but also with our administration and, of course, members from Trane, so highlighting the project. So cue that up.
Within the school systems, there's a great model that allows for schools to do facilities-related improvements and pay for them with energy savings over time.
You know, we're not a business, we don't sell stock, we don't have profit. So one of the target areas is energy, whether it be natural gas, electricity, solar, you name it, and how that impacts the district. And with Trane's energy services modeling and auditing, we can really take $1 and stretch it into $2 or $3.
This is one way of saving operating dollars in order for us to direct them directly to students and provide a better education for them.
Not only are we taking the amount of energy that we're buying down by producing our own, but we're taking the amount that we're buying down by not using and wasting any more than we have to as well. In both cases, it shows really good stewardship, both of the environment and of taxpayer dollars.
Working with Trane, we've been able to accelerate our replacement of older, less efficient fluorescent technology with newer, efficient LED technologies, as well as the controls associated with optimizing the energy use of that LED lighting.
What impresses me the most is when you meet the actual project management team in the field, and every question that you're thinking in your head, they already have on a piece of paper and are letting you know where it's at.
Train really works with you in order to find the mechanism that is best for your school district too. They really try and find out what are the goals of the school district and try and meet your needs as well.
With something like Train coming in and giving us the opportunity to have geothermal, we're not just looking at saving the money that we spent up front in the next 2 to 3 years. We're looking at having a system that requires a lot less man hours to actually maintain.
The footprint that we will leave with the geothermal will have a 50-year lifetime for that site.
Train has been a great asset in allowing us to augment and accelerate our ability to get more work done.
They've been a great partner with us for both the sustainability piece and the financial piece as well.
So we enjoy working with Train and bringing them back for all of our energy projects.
I think we'll have a photo. Will you do that after the break? Okay, next up, I would like to bring forward Leah Gonzalez, our Coordinator of Wellness for the district. She's carrying her baby as she comes up here. As you know, earlier, well, I guess in November, we were presented from the Business Health Coalition the Business Health Culture Award. And first we want to begin with thanking the Board of Education for supporting the work of our wellness team, along with Dr. Marty, and of course the dynamic team that she gets to work with on a regular basis, which is Dr. Robin Wallen, Brian Whittle, and Tiara Morris as well, along with 32 wellness leaders that are located in each of our locations. As we know, the mission of the Parkway School District is to ensure that all students are capable, curious, caring, and confident learners who understand and respond to the challenges in the ever-changing world. At Parkway, we believe that our culture of health allows us to serve the children in that best capacity. Modeling well behavior and having well employees is extremely impactful to children and to the greater school community. We believe that wellness is really about serving our people who have different needs, interests, and concerns. Yearly, we introduce new means to support and partner with our employees. Last August, we began our partnership with EAP, our new EAP PAS, and also our CARE ATC clinics. These two endeavors joined a countless list of other wellness incentives as well. I feel so privileged to work with Leah and be able to be part of a lot of the wellness activities. So Leah has led many of these wellness efforts, and the expansion of her role once becoming a Parkway employee has been beneficial to our district in countless ways. We are blessed and honored to have Leah as our wellness coordinator. Because we couldn't have done this without you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that when we were presented with this award, that puts us in a place where we're recognized as an innovator and as a leader in the community. And so we we actually were a part of a group that includes like AB, and InBev, and Boeing. And so that's the kind of companies and corporations that receive this award. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much, because we could not accomplish any of the wellness work without the support that we have with the Board of Education and then with the administrators and the wellness leaders and the greater community. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you want to.
There's a reason I was holding it like that.
Substantial.
Almost as heavy as the train?
I just would like to just congratulate Leah. This really, this in the wellness endeavor started a number of years ago. I have to give former CFO Mark Stockwell a lot of credit when he, brought Leah aboard with United Healthcare, and Leah eventually became our employee. But the work we're doing in Parkway is really something special. And when we talk about it being recognized, I was in awe of the people that have received this award in the past, and the fact that this year we were the only organization at this event that received this kind of recognition. So again, thank you, board, for supporting Leah and supporting the wellness and seeing it as a really important endeavor. Make sure our adults are taken care of so they can do a fine job, certainly in their role as teachers or in the operations area. And Patty, thank you for your ongoing work as well. So this has been a wonderful example of great cooperation and great support. But thank you very much.
Thank you to our... Thanks to all of our students, your families, and also our Parkway partners. Parents, you have some outstanding children, and you should be very proud of them. This time, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll resume the meeting shortly. I have additions, corrections, and modifications to the agenda. 6.01, addendum to agenda item 10.08, approval of personnel items. 6.02, addition, modification to agenda item 10.32, approval of Aware bid for expansion to existing Dell EMC VX rail. 6.03, agenda item 10.09, agreement with Maryland Heights has been pulled from the agenda for further review. 7.0, I have 0 citizen statements tonight. Next, may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education as scheduled for December 11th, 2019?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next regular board meeting will take place on Wednesday, December 11th. That is tonight.
January
15th, 2020. I'm just reading what's here. Beginning at 7 p.m. here at Central Middle School. Board of Education will hold its semi-annual workshop meeting. We held our semi-annual workshop meeting on December 4th, 2019 at Parkway's Administrative Center. Board candidate filing will begin at 8 a.m. next Tuesday, December 18th at the Administrative Center and will continue 17th. Will continue during regular business hours through January 21st, 2020. Terms of Christy Klein Davis, Deborah Hopper, and Jeff Todd expire in April 2020. Board liaison reports.
All right, I just have 3 quick things. First of all, I was able to attend the SSD Governing Council meeting on Monday with Debbie. I'm an alternate to the council, so it was interesting for me to go and just learn about the structure of how the other districts relate to SSD and to learn about the involvement of other districts too in the oversight of SSD. So that was good for me. And then we had a Goal 1 subcommittee meeting in the past month, and just the excitement around personalized learning is fun to see coming from the administrators and the staff, and the fact that I think it's really exciting to see what's going to happen over the next year plus with Sorrento Springs, to see that develop and that come to fruition, and with the middle school level and the high school level around personalized learning too. And then lastly, this year I've had the chance for both my daughters to go on school trips, both with the trip to Normandy and then last week with Jefferson City. And I just want to praise the teachers and staff that go along and chaperone, because it's not just the educational piece of these trips that they are working with our kids on doing. It is the actual support for them in terms of their needs, their medical needs, their needs around the food that they eat. It's a lot of work. So I just want to make sure that's noted, because it's much more than we take a kid, not just during the school day, but taking them somewhere else, to a different place, to a different country, and taking care of them and making sure they have a great experience educationally, but also will have wellness while they're there too.
I attended the Parkway Government Relations meeting. I've been a member of that committee for several years, and it was the first time I attended it as a board member. At that meeting, there were reps from Pattonville and Parkway, administration and board members, along with community members, and it's just a chance for us to meet with our state, local, and national legislators to find out, in this case, what's coming up in the upcoming state legislative session. And I just encourage everyone to pay attention to what's going on in our state legislature, because there's a lot of things that affect schools. And we need to use our voices to talk to our legislators and let them know what is important to us as parents, as board members, and as educators. So just keep an eye on what's happening in Jefferson City, because it has an effect on what goes on in our schools every day.
I also attended the Goal 1 subcommittee meeting with Matt and Debbie. One of the topics dealt with the mental health task force recommendations, and a lot of discussion about that. And of course, at the workshop last week, we got great details in terms of how the goals are progressing in terms of accomplishment and all. And a lot has been done, and that's going to really help a lot of kids and families as time goes on, as well as teachers. There was a discussion about the ADC and how great it is for students who are suspended on a long-term basis. A lot of school districts don't have such a program where students are suspended for any length of time and have quality teachers actually working with them so they can continue their educational program. And then we had a discussion also about the Equity Diversity Survey that's coming up here in December. And that's going to be interesting to find out how people respond to that, and we hope we get a good response. And of course, the personalized learning, as Matt mentioned, is very exciting. It appears that we have a great staff in place that will begin to develop and progress into more personalized learning activities and programs, et cetera. And Kevin Bechter talked about a couple of visits, one in San Diego and one in Milwaukee, where personalized learning has been around for quite a while, and it's very exciting to know that there are programs out there where students do have a personalized program, and they do make it work for students in so many ways. So, and thanks to Kevin, thanks to Craig for being with us, and we appreciate the opportunity to be able to dialogue more on a personal level at these meetings, and it's great to be able to talk about things that are important and what's going on in the district. So thank you all.
Just two quick things. One, I got to attend with a couple others the production here of Frozen 2 here at the middle school, which was really fun. And I think really impressive that our middle school kids are putting on like full production musicals with costumes and singing. And my kids came with me, and now Claire wants to do one, so I'm looking for an opportunity for her. But it was really great and just really impressive what they're able to do just starting in middle school. So I think our arts program is something we should be really proud of. That we continue to make investments there. The other thing I'll mention, playing off of the board workshop comments and our conversation about the mental health task force recommendations, I think it's important, and I'm proud that some of that also translates into our legislative priorities and the way that we're talking about what Parkway prioritizes in terms of our state legislature thinking about, and our priorities being broader than just looking at students' needs during the day, but also thinking about our students as whole people and how do they access everything that they need to be able to grow and thrive and do that in our environment as well as in their homes and in their communities. So I think that that's important, and I'm proud that we're doing that.
Like my colleagues, I also attended the board workshop. And one of the first things that really hit me when I became a school board member was just the breadth of endeavors that the district undertakes. And the board workshop is always an opportunity to really showcase some of those things and really learn about just the wide range of services, activities, and functions that the school district, and Parkway in particular, is involved with. It's just always so impressive to see so many people so engaged and so passionate about all the aspects of living our mission statement. Along with Christy, I also attended the production of Frozen. I have a 4-year-old daughter at home, so every day of my life is pretty much a production of Frozen. But I was particularly impressed with the presentation by the middle school students. Particularly, I was sitting in the back, so I could sort of watch not just the kids on stage, but the ones that were working in the crew and dealing spotlights and props and everybody. You know, it really was in the kids' hands, and it was really, really well done and an enjoyable night.
I'll just expand on the Special School District Governing Council meeting that took place Monday evening. There was some recommendations from the Parent Advisory Committee from the Special School District on what they'd like to see with some of the other school districts. I'll be passing that along. And then we also talked about their comprehensive school improvement plan and approved some budget items, and we'll be also, we had lengthy discussion about the upcoming Special School District Board of Education election process. So just like the other public school systems, we will be, the Special School District will accept candidate filings in the same December to January timeframe, but then our elections for the Special School District's Board of Education occurs in March at the Governing Council meeting in March. So it is the Governing Council that elects the Board of Education for the Special School District. So we had a lengthy discussion on that process to always try to improve that to get our highly qualified candidates on the Special School District.
Thank you. Since last board meeting, I attended the Project Parkway Steering Committee. It's just a group of stakeholders in the district that kind of help shape that conversation and the work that we're doing at Project Parkway. As Sam mentioned, the equity and diversity survey that's gone out to our families, I really encourage you to take that survey. We still have, I think, through the 16th or the 15th. Nathan, is that right? 15th. So you got a few more days to get that done, and we're really looking forward to getting that data back. Kevin mentioned the board workshop, or a couple of you did, and I'd just like to say that I'm proud of the board for taking the time and effort to do what we're calling a self-evaluation, a board self-evaluation. It's something that will help us look at how we're doing as a board, look at how we're doing individually on the board, and help improve communication with the public, communication with the staff in the district, and parents and families. So thank you all for participating in that and providing the feedback, and we'll continue measuring ourselves every year as we continue forward. And then last night I was able to attend the West High, West Middle Winter Choir Concert, and always a great event. Our choir programs in the district are outstanding, and last night was no exception. So kudos to all the staff and the students who participated in that.
I just had one item that some of you had the pleasure of meeting Kim Bailey, who is a state board member. She was here on November 15th and had a chance to sit in a meeting with mayors and city administrators, Jeff and I, and then also attended the government relations, and then had a chance to go out and before she's leaving town to go to a Camp Wyman and to see students that are engaged in the program of where students or high school students teach middle school kids drug and alcohol resistance and drug and alcohol programming, and did a great job in talking to those students. Got some notes back where she really appreciated and really enjoyed her visit in Parkway, and complimented us on all our work in terms of our reach out to our municipalities and our government relations, and just had a good feel. So just had a wonderful visit with her, and I really excited about our ability to have a contact now, a personal contact with the state board. But it was really pleasant to have her, and the state board is a whole now, and it's functioning very well and doing some good work. So I think having met a few other state board members that are relatively new, I think we're in pretty good hands right now in Missouri.
Thank you. As you just heard, the Project Parkway Steering Committee met November 18th, 2019. The Goal 1 Subcommittee meeting was held on November 21st. And the Goal 1 Subcommittee meeting next will be held on January 7th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. at South Middle School. Next, we have a relatively normal-sized list of consent items, action items. And so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the December 11th, 2019 board materials?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything to be pulled to action or closed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. We have no individual action items. We have no policy review tonight. We have no reports tonight. However, we do have a work session. So now could I ask Patty Bedborough, CFO, to join us, and Brian Whittle.
Thank you all. Good evening. He is queuing up the presentation right now. So we've been working over the last couple months to put together our revenues and such for our upcoming budget. So our revenues, the importance of that is to put together what our main sources of revenue will be, where's our guideline for the year, essentially then to become that guideline on what our maximum expenditures will be. So in here, when we're showing the expenditures, these are all just estimated costs. We follow the policy of zero-based budgeting. So currently, all the administrators are developing their goals and their challenges for next year's. And then starting tomorrow, they'll receive a memo from me, and then they'll begin their process of their zero-based budgeting. So as we look at the timeline, of course, we're meeting tonight and presenting the assumptions. In January, I'll have a written report that is presented to you for your consideration and approval. As administrators, we'll be working on building our expenditure budgets in the next few months. We're also going to be working on salaries with our employee groups as well. We will have all the building administrators will be turning in those completed expenditure budgets essentially by the end of February. Ms. Joyce is already working with the building administrators as far as staffing meetings. She's completed those at the elementary, the middle, and the high school level, but she'll continue to work on them as the enrollment projections come in as well. So we have initial 5-year enrollment projections from Dr. Tyson, and then he provides updates every month as well. We will then be working on finalizing the budget, working with SAP members if needed, and then presenting, hopefully, on April 22nd board meeting, an overview of the preliminary budget, and then we'll build that into the big budget book by the end of June. So budget development, I put it as kind of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. You need all the pieces to make the big picture. Sometimes we start with the big picture or the bottom line and then work to get to where we need to be with all of our pieces as well. So sometimes pieces have to change sizes in order to fit properly as well. One of the things I really want to go over is some of the challenges that we as a district are facing in the upcoming years. These are just a few. Please don't think that this is down and out and we're having a lot of troubles, but know that these are challenges we face on a day-to-day basis. So they are not listed in any type of priority level, so they are just listed. So first I want to speak about the increase in costs and the greater participation in early college and our virtual learning programs. The overall tuition budget will need to grow in order to meet the demands of our students. So some of this is legislative based, but some of it is truly based on us going toward a more personalized level as well. We need to digitize our records. So our first project with student records is actually underway, but we also have to give consideration to our historical human resource records and to our board minutes as well. The elementary refresh of technology for the upcoming year, the initial estimates are about $800,000 over their allocation from this current year. This is due in part to the number of devices, but also based on the estimated cost increase of the devices as well. And we always have ongoing resource needs for curricular materials, so it depends on which curricular departments are going through some of their revisions as well. Mental health needs of our students and staff. So we heard at our board workshop the overview from Dr. Matheson and his team on that. So we'll be implementing some of those changes. Our students in transition transportation costs, we know from our previous board meeting, we had an allocation increase for that budget. And it's increased now to over $1.1 million annually, and it was that much last year too. So we're working on creative ways that we can lower that cost. Looking to attract and retain some of our bus drivers, our custodial staff, our food service. We have worked feverishly to try and attract and retain quality employees. It's been a struggle. We've probably at least 10 down in each of those departments on a regular basis. So looking at creative ways that we can have a more attractive salary scale or something that will actually bring more employees our way. The other department that struggles with staffing is our early childhood full-day programs. They really struggle with the 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. time slot. So Dr. Polson has been working on a creative solution to that. She's going to present that actually to SAT on Monday. So we have new legislation that requires background checks for all adults that may have the opportunity to be one-on-one with students. This could have a cost impact of about $125,000 for that first year, lower in those upcoming years. And while sustainability and recycling are goals of the district, we have seen a 160% increase in our recycling provider costs. So while we still are very committed to that endeavor, it does cost us more to be part of that program. We have a challenge of keeping up with our capital project requests from the buildings. Our facility staff is trying to build their budget based on requests that are needed that are outside of the bond projects. We do have our substitute services RFP under review currently, and while last year we had savings, we're hopeful that through this bid process that we'll have a more competitive bid and hopefully additional savings as well. On the revenue side, you know that in the last few years we've struggled with that line item, the financial institution tax. Originally, we were really concerned about the takeover of TD Ameritrade, of Scottrade. Last year, then, our revenues became higher than they were the year prior. Well, just as that dust has settled and DESE has a revenue adjustment that'll come not next year, but the year following, now we know that Charles Schwab is in the process of acquiring TD Ameritrade. So once again, that line item becomes under jeopardy. And then my broken record is on our continued protested taxes with our local taxpayers. So last year we had a collection rate of just over 96%. And while we're able to use the recoupment process in order to recapture those lost taxes in the following year, it does provide insecurity in each budget year, not knowing with confidence the amount that will actually be received. This year, we're budgeting 96.2, and then in our future years, 96.5% is that collection rate. And we have known the last few years that our enrollment with VIC students will gradually be decreasing. That's based on our agreement. We've known that. But that also equates into lower revenue in those line items as well. We have safety and security concerns at our events and games. It's been troublesome in order to attract additional security support at those games. So perhaps we're going to have to work on that pay scale for those part-time employees. We always have cybersecurity enhancements that we have planned and want to work on. And strategically, we know that we're implementing sustainable efforts, but we know most of our construction projects do bring energy savings, but we also have a lot of sustainability projects with things such as our food service supplies, our furniture, et cetera, and we just need to make sure that we're being cost effective in those decisions as well. Ryan is here to go over some of our operating revenues and the estimates that we have for you.
All right, so as you can see on the chart, as always, local revenue is our single biggest source in the district. It's 90%. Just single-handedly, property taxes are 70% of our total revenue. So then we take property taxes, other local is 20%. The next biggest item is Prop C, around 6%, and we truly don't really have any other items that are over 5% of our total collection. Then we'll go into, again, our biggest part, property taxes, 70%. A lot of people, you talk to your neighbors, everyone thinks, well, my assessment went up 10%, my property taxes are going to go up 10%. As we know, that's not true. It's difficult to explain because it's a pretty complicated law, but there's a lot of factors that go into it, and the big ones are the collection rate, consumer price index, the recoupment, new construction, and, of course, the assessed valuation, which is what everyone thinks of. So we'll start with the collection rate. Patty touched on this, how it's been going down for the last few years. We're estimating 96.2 this year and then 96.5 every year following. We're looking at our most recent collection data has actually been better than in prior years at the same time, as in there's less negative payments on our county property tax collection, so that gave us the confidence to boost it to 96.5% in future years. 96.2 to 96.5 doesn't sound like much, but that's about $600,000 swing per year. So every 0.1% is about $200,000. So it makes a big difference, those protested taxes. So our next is our consumer price index. This is kind of, I consider it kind of the ceiling on what we can increase. So assessed valuation, say it went up 8%, but if the CPI went up 2%, we actually have to cut back our property tax rate to make sure our collections don't go up 8%, they go up closer to that 2%. Of course, there's a couple of exceptions I'll get to. So one of them is, in addition to that CPI increase, you have new construction too that can go above. So say we have CPI of 2% plus 40 million in new construction, we can also tax on that. That increases our floor by that $40 million. So in future years, we went down to 20 million. It's hard to predict in the future exactly what the new construction will be. If you look around in the Parkway District, it does feel like everything that's developed can be developed. I mean, they're putting houses in little tiny areas, but they always seem to find ways for new construction. So we know there will be some, it just won't be much. So it's difficult to say, hey, we'll hit 40 million again, because what if we don't? That would really, you don't want to plan on something that's not going to happen or isn't realistically going to happen. And then finally, our assessed valuation, as you can see, it's really gone up the last few years. And, I've said that a few times, but this isn't the only indicator of what we're going to be able to tax. It's capped by the other factors. But hopefully the assessed valuation keeps going up. And then you'll notice in assessment years, we only plan on a 0.5% increase. And then in non-assessment years, of course, it'll go up higher. Or assessment years will go up higher. So. Here is just our, was out of place? There we go. So it's the very big table. You see it in like our ASBR kind of by year, or if you open up our financial statements or budget, this is the table we have. And it kind of just breaks down revenue by source. We try to hit all the major categories. So, if you look at local, of course, property taxes in there, but prop C's in there too. That's a big source, around 15 million. I do want to point your attention, Patty mentioned it, in one of our challenges is the VST. Over the next 4 years, we're predicting that'll drop by 2.4 million. So even though our other revenue sources, excluding financial institution tax, we kind of estimate will stay the same or go up, with that VST going down, it kind of drags our annual increase down. In some years, we have basically a static growth in revenues as a result, especially in those non-assessment years where we're not thinking property taxes will go up that much. We have that drop from VST, so it kind of blends to just staying flat for the whole year. I'll let Patty talk on expenses.
And with that, as we said, the revenues become that top baseline with our new fund balance growth policy that allows us to grow the fund balance of the 0.75% over 3 years. It adds some flexibility, especially when we have potentially 2 years that are non-reassessment years and we have low growth in the local taxes. That is 70% of our local revenue. And then we have the reassessment year there in the middle. So it provides some flexibility for us. Our next component then is building that expenditure budget. As we mentioned, our first step in the zero-based budgeting is certainly looking at our goals. When we look at our operating budget, we break it down by what is the percentage. 63.72% of that is salaries and loans. So having the right staffing is crucial to our decision and our budget development. The next largest expenditure is our benefits budget. So as you heard tonight with the award that we received, we do have benefits that pay off from having an award-winning benefit program. This last year, the year 2019, we had 0% increase in our benefits. So that's 0% increase for the district and 0% increase for our employees from their payroll deductions. We also have the same thing for our upcoming year, 2020. It's on a calendar year. We'll have a 0% increase for both of those as well. So we have a lower high claims cost. We have grown that fund balance to give us a little leeway that we know with an assurance that we would not need to increase those benefit levels. So that leaves our next couple slivers, which is our purchase services. Probably one of our largest purchase service costs would be for our substitute services, and then our supplies as well. So supplies, one of our largest expenditures would be our curricular materials, our curricular devices as far as our refresh devices, and then also our energy would be a big component of our supply costs for the district. So looking at staffing, one of the first things we look at is our enrollment projections. So these are done by Dr. Nathan Tyson. As you can see in our future years out, they seem rather flat. But when we look at that enrollment projection and we look at it by level of school, we can see the blue line represents the elementary, and you can see there's a projected increase in our elementary students. As you know, as we staff for elementary, we're rather fixed on our class sizes. So our staffing is based on estimating the number of students and the staff that's needed at each class size. So as that increases, there's a demand for increased staffing at the buildings as well. The green line represents our high school, and as you can see, that's estimated to decrease over the next few years, and our middle school shows a very slight decrease. So our breakdown of our enrollment, resident students versus our students that live in St. Louis City and are part of the VIC program, we can see that our resident students are estimated to increase from our current amount of 16,476 to 17,000 even in the 24-25 school year. Our VIC enrollment at the same time currently is 1,101 students, and it's estimated to decrease to 632. So overall, our enrollment is 17,577 currently, and is estimated to just slightly increase to that 17,632. When we look at staffing, we know that, as I mentioned, we'll have a need to increase our staff at our elementary level. In the last several years, we've kind of had a flat secondary staffing model. We will be needing to look at that and possibly make some reductions from our secondary staff to meet the enrollment trends. The other thing that we want to discuss is the comprehensive staffing study. Mrs. Joyce provided an overview last week at our workshop, so we have folded in the savings and the new positions into our budget projections as well. The other component to staffing, once you have FTE, is what are the salary increases for next year. The only contract that has been definitively decided for next year is our CWA contract, and they have a 2.76% increase projected. The other employee groups, the salaries will be determined in the next few months. So then how do we budget not knowing what those salary increases are? We have used an estimated amount of 2.2% growth annually, plus the added positions. This increase is then offset, of course, by an estimated turnover or estimate of retirees that would be leaving the district and then replaced by perhaps a salary that was lower than the current employee. So an estimated growth then of the 2.2%. Salaries and staffing are reviewed by HR and by administration, and adjustments in staffing along with the estimated salary increases are discussed not only to SAP but then brought to you for your approval as well. When we look at the next biggest line, which would be benefits, we're also looking at a 2% increase each year to keep up with the increase in salary. So many of our benefits are related and tied directly to the salary. So it's a tax or a retirement. So whether it's Medicare tax, Social Security, or retirement percentages, they're directly tied into whatever that increase is in the salary amount. So as you can see, we have then our modest growth in our expenditures that are also projected over the next several years. We develop these based on history, but of course the actual numbers will vary based on the zero-based budgets as they are returned in. So to sum it up, we look at our fund balance growth targets. So with the budget that we have presented here, we are meeting our fund balance growth targets. The other thing to mention here is that there are 2 years, the 2023 and the 2024 fiscal years, both do have in the red, gaps where we will need to make either adjustments in the spending there or find new sources of revenue in order to meet our fund balance target needs. So this happens quite often when we're budgeting out farther. As those years come into play, then the adjustments seem to fall into place. So this has happened in previous years too. So then Dr. Marty's favorite graph here, which shows some of the years when we took our ski slope dive down. You can tell that our expenditures were way higher than what our revenues were. And then you can see how long it's taken to get back up, not even halfway through that ski slope. So we're still working there. Now, I do have exciting news to share. Are you ready? So this year with our TANs, while we asked for approval of $20 million, we only needed to borrow for our first December payroll. So we borrowed the money on Thursday, we paid it back on Monday. So we spent only, $2,500 in interest versus about $43,000 in interest last year. Yeah. So that is amazing. So part of that work is not only the growth that we've done in the operating fund balance, but because we've been able to utilize recoupment and place that into the capital projects balance, that's also helped as a cash reserve that we're able to draw upon. So those two together have been have worked well. Now, we do still want to grow that fund balance because eventually we do want to have, of course, a complete elimination of TANs, but we want to be able to start investing longer than a year out as well in order to increase our interest revenue amounts as well. And then Brian provided this graph as kind of an overview of essentially the same graph before, but showing the years where anything, the chart below the line is essentially when the revenues were outrun by the expenditures, so greater expenditures than revenues. And then in the last few years, how we have made great efforts in order to ensure that we're working on a surplus budget and not working on either just a balanced budget or, God forbid, a negative budget. So with that, any questions, feedback for us?
I'll just say outstanding work on keeping that fund balance in the right direction and sticking with it and not borrowing where we don't have to. And maybe, who knows, next year at this time, you'll tell us we've spent zero interest.
Right, that would be great. And, you know, while you were saying that to me, it really takes the effort of everybody on SAT to make that happen, plus the building administrators as well. You know, I look at Dr. Beckner and everything that he worked with last year on TLA to meet a target of a total program budget. And I mean, they cut out meal expense, they cut out and cut and cut and cut. And I know that's one of the reasons I put a little extra, you know, emphasis on what TLA needs, because I know they really cut back for this current year. But it happens with all of us. You know, it's not just me, it's not just Brian, it really is the team of administrators that really make it all happen.
Absolutely. Anyone else have anything?
I would just say that discipline is really important, and Patty's really been a disciplinarian, but I think as us as a district, because you can see where my favorite chart, it just, when you start over, you know, not being disciplined and you start allowing expenditures to exceed revenues, it doesn't take you very long, and we're still, in essence, in some cases, still recovering from those years that are now, we're talking, you know, 7, 8, 9 years ago. So our discipline is really key from all levels, starting, you know, with us and through our system. And Patty certainly in her planning really emphasizes that, because we're a much better place, but it only would take a year or two of not following that discipline that could put us back, and then it's really hard to recover. It takes years.
So this is really in the weeds. So like the 5-second answer. So you said that benefits rate has stayed consistent as percent of expense. Have we experienced the same increase in healthcare costs that other employers have? That's hard. I'm having a moment. So
So our healthcare costs, I will say, our healthcare plan is actually on a calendar year, not on a fiscal year. So in fiscal year 19, we had half a year of savings. This year we have a full year of savings, with that being at a 0% increase. So I will say we're probably conservative with having an increase of 2%. We probably have a little bit of room in that number with having 0 for our health care. So to respond to your question, is it the same as Marketplace? No, Marketplace is raising by 5 to 6% and changing your benefits all around. I will say we did a lot of that work in 14-15 and in 15-16 in adjusting our plans and educating our employees, having to move from the premium plan to the high deductible plan, and really providing personal support. Brian and his team actually visit each and every building, and they're not necessarily for, bless you, for a presentation, but they're there for support if employees have any questions and, you know, they don't want to call or what have you. They're there to walk through the financial pieces of it, to show them what the differences are between our premium plan, our base plan, and our high deductible. And then they usually ask, well, what plan are you on? And then we say, well, we're on the high deductible because we think it's the best. But that truly has been a good benefit to our health program as well, because it's consumer driven. So we have employees that are asking questions as they're spending their health care dollars as well. And then, of course, our wellness. When we look at our top 5 indicators in our spend each year, wellness has been one of our top 5 for the last several years. So that's an indication that our employees are engaged in being well as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you to both you and Brian and your entire team and everyone.
Well, thank you.
Okay, next, may I have a motion and a second? The Board of Education call for a special meeting at 5:30 PM on December 16th, 2019 at the Parkway Administrative Center.
So
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next anticipated closed session will be held Monday, December 16th, 2019 at Central Middle School. Details of the closed session will be posted within 24 hours of the anticipated meeting. We have no recess or closed session to go into following this meeting, so now may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for your attendance tonight. Thank you.